Hi everyone, you're watching me on Femarai. My name is Dr. Nivi Manokaran and I'm a dermatologist, venereologist, a sexual health clinician and a HIV specialist. I always liked skin and hair and I was a big fan of that. But I was also going to pursue surgery because I come from a family background of surgeons. Both my parents were surgeons as well. So that's what I wanted to do. But my father actually thought that, if I can do dermatology, he's a plastic surgeon. So he encouraged me to do dermatology and he said, if you can do, cosmetology and things like that, you could still have a bit of a work-life balance and you don't have to be, a surgeon on call and doing hard work. So that is how I actually went into taking dermatology. And then I got married and I moved to Sydney a few years ago and I was trying to look for a job in dermatology. And it so happened that I did not get a job in dermatology and I got a job in sexual health. And I was thinking, God, there's a whole department for this thing. It was such a small part of my education. And that's how I did sexual health. And I thought, okay, next year probably I'll get a job in derm. And that was 11 years ago. And 11 years later, I'm still at the same job, doing the same thing because I fell in love with the job. I think India needs it the most, Everybody is sexually active and the word sex is still such a big taboo. And it's very important for people to actually come and say, we have to snap out of this because we have to accept it. Then it's easy for us to actually help the youngsters and stop infections and prevent, miscarriages and deaths because of that and a whole bunch of things. So that's the reason why I have pursued this whole sexual health job for such a long time. And I'm using it for both education and, talking to people and informing people about things. See, to me, I'm a big believer of work-life balance and I take it very serious. So I really do a 9-to-5 job and I don't work weekends and I take my weekends very serious. I don't bring work home. I finish at 5 and that's that. I have very, very flexible hours. I'm always allowed to take time off to go for, children's programs and sports days and this and that. If there's no balance between all this, it's hard. It's a man's world, but it's hard. What's been the most challenging phase of my life is the qualification that we do back home is not recognized here in Australia. And I literally had to redo my entire placements and all my postings and my internship and everything all over again. I almost wanted to give up every time. I got trained as a dermatologist and when I came back and when I had to do this whole thing all over again. So I think that was a very, very challenging time. And I got married and I had my children very early as well. So I have little kids. So I feel like that whole phase of me having to redo everything was just absolutely challenging. It wasn't easy. It took a long time for my family members to call me as a sexual health specialist from a dermatologist. I don't think they felt comfortable to say, oh, Nivi is sexual, she does sexual health or HIV. I don't think they were comfortable at all and it wasn't easy. And I remember they always used to say, oh, she's a dermatologist. And I had to constantly correct them and say, I don't do dermatology anymore. I do sexual health. So it isn't easy. People may not accept it. It isn't easy. It may be something different. But the bottom line is if you love it, you need to go for it. I think there are people who think it's a bit too much for a woman to come and actually talk about, these things even on a public forum. And there are some really, really religious people who have commented on, how all this has been very not religious and people are not pious and almost like, you're going to go to hell. People saying, we're trying to change the culture which has been, around for a very long time and it's hard. I initially used to try and explain what our culture was. Our culture was not to do it and hide it. If you don't want to do it, that's different. But then doing it and hiding it doesn't serve the purpose. It is true that for some reason it is the women's responsibility. It has been like that for a long time. It's changing now that it is the women's responsibility majorly, to take care of the house chores or to balance between the house and other things. And clearly, we are the ones who are going to, fall pregnant and then we need the maternity leave and, things like that. And then, of course, I think the burden also falls on being able to raise children after that. So competing in a man's world is very, very difficult. And on saying that, I feel like so many of us have actually proven that wrong and have done extremely, extremely well trying to, balance the work-life balance. But I should also say that depends on the entire unit of who you are with and who is around you. Whether if you're married at that point, the whole unit of your husband, your in-laws, people you have associated with to take care of your children, and everybody, your own parents. I think everybody play a very important role if you're going to compete in power and be able to do what a man is doing in the world. Thank you, everyone. You're watching me on Femarai, and this was my journey.